welcome back to Space for Edit. In this channel we talk about all the things that they don't teach you in interior design school or university, but the things that you really need to know in the real world. And today's video is for those who are maybe thinking about freelancing or going out on their own, but are a little bit confused on how to actually price themselves and how to get the ball rolling. So if that is you, I hope that you will find this video very useful. And just before we start, it's worth mentioning that I've already done a video on design fees. That one goes more into detail on how the design fees add up and what you should be allowing for, like the tax man, your savings, your pension pot, your profit on top of everything, expenses, you name it, like all the stuff that you should be thinking about when you are putting together your design fees. But today we will touch on the basics, on the mindset, and maybe some other things that I didn't mention in that video. So first of all, I want you to start thinking as a business owner. You are no longer just a designer, you are a business owner. And your design fees should be changing with every project. Maybe they won't change drastically, but there should be a slight climb in your prices. Why? Well, first of all, your clientele will change. You will see that eventually with time you will learn some lessons and you will not maybe work for the type of clients that you might have taken on in the beginning. Same goes to your experience. Your experience will change, you will know a lot more, you'll be a lot more confident in your work, so you should be charging more as well. So let's take a look at your clientele. Now, this might sound a little bit cheeky, but again, I remind you that you are a business owner and you're thinking like a businessman, businesswoman. So it is important to kind of look into your client's background as well, because you do not want to be underpaid or you do not want to undervalue your services. So let's say your client is a big restaurant chain owner. They will obviously have a lot more money in the pot to play with rather than someone who is more like a small business owner just starting out. Maybe they have like a little shop and they just want to do some little bits to tweak their setup. So immediately you can see how you do have to think a little bit differently with both of those clients, because the first client with the restaurant chain, they will have a lot deeper pockets and investment to put down, but at the same time the smaller business owner might not have so much money in the bank. So you do not want to scare the smaller one away, but you still want to keep their business, and at the same time you don't want to miss out on a good opportunity with the bigger client. So you might be thinking, okay, I get the concept, right? But how do I actually do it? What I would advise is to maybe just step into your client's shoes for a second. So what is your client's lifestyle like? Where do they spend their money on? And how much are they comfortable with spending? What are their views on business investment? So all of these little questions could give you a little more idea of what your client is like and what most likely they will be comfortable with spending on your services. And you can also just ask these questions, maybe not as straightforward, but sort of kind of start a conversation around it on your discovery meeting as you are walking through site, or maybe you are meeting them somewhere in a cafe or somewhere else just for that kind of first initial meeting. Then just ask those questions and see what their answers are like and make note of it. Okay, and now let's just touch on your experience. So obviously the more experienced you are, the more confident you will be about your skill set, about explaining your services, about presenting your work. And really this kind of skill or confidence comes with time and can't be really given to you by someone else, in this situation by me. You really have to believe in yourself and it has to come from within. But at the same time, don't go too far with this fake it till you make it kind of thing, because you have to be confident that you can deliver the work that you are saying you're going to deliver for the price that you have put on this work. So you don't want your client to be disappointed at the end when you have promised them all kinds of fancy stuff and it turns out that you can't really deliver that. And if you ever go and read any books or watch any videos on how to sell yourself, how to sell your services, you will see that the underlying quality always is confidence. And a really good YouTube channel for this is called The Future, and the creator Chris Doe is amazing, absolutely amazing in explaining how you should charge yourself and how to slowly go from charging per hour into more of a charging per value that you are given. So let me just quickly kind of touch on that subject, how to charge for the value that you are bringing to your client. So if we take, for example, graphic design, then the way that they can charge for the value is maybe with logos. So you can imagine how effective a really good logo can be for a company, and it is going to be used over and over and over again on every header, on every product, on every advertisement. So the logo is super valuable, whereas for someone it might only take, a day or two to create the initial concept and then just kind of refining the design. So really charging for just the time that the person has spent on it doesn't really make sense, does it? So in the interior design world, you can compare it to anything really. If it's a residential project or a commercial project, let's say for example we are taking a restaurant project, you as a customer obviously would return to a place that is freshly done and well designed. So you can imagine how your design work could really elevate someone else's business. So that would mean more returning customers, more happy and positive reviews online. So all of that work is really bringing a lot more value to your client. So again, you can see how maybe just charging for the hours that you have spent on the design doesn't really reflect the value of your work. So I hope this gives you a little insight on how important it actually is, maybe thinking about, I can add a little bit on top of my design fees because this is going to add a lot more value to the client. But obviously I understand all of you have this question in mind, but what about the numbers? Can you give us some sort of a figure that we can go off from? This is a tricky one because you guys are from all over the world. I'm based in the UK, so the situation in the UK will be completely different to situation somewhere else in Europe or somewhere in America, Australia, you name it. So for someone, £15 an hour is pennies, is nothing. That doesn't even cover their expenses, and for others £15 an hour is a lot of money. So my personal opinion, if you really need to kind of figure out what would be the minimum that you should charge, and if you are charging per hour, then I would say have a little research into the field. What are interior designers earning at the moment annually around your area, and then kind of work it back and figure out how much they are working per week, per day, per hour. So you will know that with tax included, you should at least earn this amount of money. And then you can kind of start playing around with it. I really do not advise to charge less than that minimum, because you might as well then go and do the job for free. At least then you will have a little bit more of a leeway, a bit more of a creative freedom, because the client's not going to be expecting too much of you. But like I said, it does not end there. You need to allow for a lot more than just the minimum. So do go and check out that other video if you haven't seen it yet. The link is in the description box. And there is a very crucial thing that you need to do when charging for your design fees is understanding your client's needs. So what does the client see that he's going to walk away with after you have done the project for them? If you haven't discussed this in a very fine detail and presented this information to your client, then you will either work too much and do work that you haven't quoted for or priced for, or you will leave your client disappointed because they haven't received everything that they wanted. So what I would strongly suggest, to really kind of sit down with your client and go through your design process. If you're kind of fresh at the moment and you don't really know what your design process should be like, I do have a video on it as well. It is one of my first videos, so excuse the quality of it, but it doesn't mean that the content isn't as useful. So go and check out that link below as well. It's called How to Manage Your Interior Design Projects, and it will show you kind of stage by stage, step by step, how to take your project from the beginning, from the concept stage, all the way through to design development, and then actually wrapping it up on site. So you need to make sure that you explain your client all of these steps, what's going to happen, so they can actually see how much effort you will be putting into this work. So when they eventually see the figure at the bottom of your design fee proposal, they do understand that you will be putting some time and effort, and there's going to be value coming their way. Also, a little thing to mention on at this point is that your clients might never have worked with an interior designer before, so they really do not understand what we as designers do. So it's your responsibility to explain it. Or they might have worked with an interior designer before, but they work completely differently from you. So they might have their own expectations from you, whereas you will have your own way of working. So you can see how this can turn into a very ugly situation really quickly. Now, the last point I wanted to touch on is having a visual design fee proposal. I will tell you from experience, clients love visual stuff straight from the get-go. It is the most effective way how to convince your client that you know what you're doing, you're a professional, you're experienced, and at the same time you can show off other projects and your design work in general. Make sure your branding is all over it, so have that in place. And like I said before, make sure to include your past work or anything that can kind of back up everything that you are talking about in your design fee document. So let's say, for example, you are talking about the concept stage of your design work. So you will be outlining all the design material that the client's going to get. So if within your concept stage you have mood boards, then you could actually attach a mood board right below that section that you have done before, so the client can visually understand what you are talking about. Because mood boards to them might not mean much, but to you, you understand that because that's your language. And at the same time, if you are just working freelance for another design company or for another designer, then sometimes maybe a simple breakdown, just a table that you have created in Microsoft Word or any kind of other document, that will work as well. Just make sure that you've got your logos and your details, your contacts everywhere on it, so it does look a little bit more professional. I am going to be releasing a specific video on design fee document, so if you want to learn more about it or you would like to see an actual example of a design fee document, then make sure you subscribe and you hit the bell right next to it so you get notified when that video comes out. Okay guys, so I hope that this video has given you a little bit more insight or given you a little starting point for your first design fee proposal. And as always, if you have any questions, pop them down in the comment section. I try my best to answer them all. Okay, so that's it for today. If you feel like you want to learn more, then definitely watch these two videos and check the description box for more useful information. And if I don't see you there, then I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Oh guys, before you go, I just wanted to remind you that I do have a 3D visualization course out on thinkific.com. So check the link below if you want to join or if you want to learn more. In this course, I show you all of my tips and tricks right from the beginning, from the floor plan, all the way through to a final visual. So again, check the link below if you're interested. Bye.